Hello and welcome to Pluribus Unum's Fireside Chats. Not as good as FDR's, but hey, it's something. I'm gonna do two things of housekeeping and then we're gonna get into stuff. First, we are 17 subs away from 200 subscribers. There's not much for that. I mean, that's pretty much it for that. I mean, all I'm saying is I want 200 subs and, you'll get some questions answered because I'll do a Q&A, whatever. But anyways, the second thing of housekeeping is the debates. Just gonna throw it out there. The next Democratic debate, and I'm just gonna rattle off the people who are currently qualified. Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Pete Buttigieg, Kamala Harris, Andrew Yang, Amy Klobuchar, Tom Steyer, Cory Booker, and Tulsi Gabbard. Julian Castro has the donor threshold, but is currently not meeting any of the other thresholds, so he might not make it to the next debate. Many people have been saying it for months now. People are like, it's pretty clear that we've got our top 6 or top 5, so everyone else should stop trying. Although, we'll find out soon. Not a lot of people are gonna stop trying. With all that out of the way, let's get right into the news. The first thing we're going to start off is something from another country. Brazil's former president Lula walks free from prison after Supreme Court ruling. Brazil's former president Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva has been released from prison after a Supreme Court ruling that delighted his supporters and infuriated followers of the far-right president Jair Bolsonaro. Lula, who was serving a 12-year corruption sentence, was greeted by hundreds of supporters wearing red vests emblazoned with his face outside the federal police headquarters in the city of Curitiba, where he had been imprisoned for 580 days. In a speech to the crowd, Lula thanked party militants who had camped outside throughout his imprisonment and attacked the rotten side of the police, prosecutors, tax office, and justice system for jailing him. They did not imprison a man. They tried to kill an idea, he said. Brazil did not improve. Brazil got worse. The people are going hungry. The people are unemployed. The people do not have formal jobs. People are working for Uber. They are riding bikes to deliver pizzas. Lula was imprisoned in April 2018 after a sentence for corruption and money laundering handed down by the controversial judge Sergio Moro, who upheld an appeal court. He has always proclaimed his innocence and argued the case against him was politically motivated. So, yeah. Turns out, he is out. Lula is free. Now, what does this mean for a couple things? For starters, what does this mean for Lula? Well, Lula's free. That's the first thing. Now, what could this mean for the Brazil political scene? Well, it's not entirely sure, but it of course shows that despite the fact that Jair Bolsonaro is doing absolutely everything he can to try and make it so that he is in control, making sure everybody has, there's no one who can challenge him. He is top dog. It's clear that that isn't the case anymore. Especially considering now there was actually a person who literally punched Glenn Greenwald for, calling him out on certain things. Glenn Greenwald, he was a far right, the Alex Jones of Brazil's radio scene said, "Hey, Glenn Greenwald, you're a journalist. Your husband is a member of Congress. How are you guys capable of raising your kids? We should take your kids away." Now, it's obvious that he was doing this because they're gay. Because Glenn Greenwald called him out and said, dude, you can actually, you have other people who are, your friends who have parents that both work, and you're not calling them out. But what does this mean for Brazil? Well, it shows, of course, leftism is not dead in Brazil. It just got handicapped. Could this mean that we'll get another leftism reign in the next Brazilian election in 2022? I don't know. Maybe if Lula runs, maybe. We don't know. Could this literally just be a whole case of buyer's remorse? I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. This next story is incredibly minor. Nobody should care except for me, but I'll just get it out of the way. There was a minor Democratic presidential candidate by the name of Micheal Arth. He had run for governor of Florida in 2010 as an independent, and now he ran for president in 2020 as a minor Democratic presidential candidate, and he was actually one of the minor Democratic presidential candidates alongside Andrew Yang and Marianne Williamson that I was trying to make people get him to the debate stage. Like I was saying, these three seem like good choices. But I mean, those three were the ones I was desperately trying to get on the debate stage. And, well, it worked for two of them, but it didn't work for the last one. So, yeah. Anyways, he dropped out of the race, a couple days ago, and has formally announced who he's endorsing. Now, I'm just going to have to be fair. I'm going to have to keep his endorsement secret. It's Elizabeth Warren. Why Elizabeth Warren? I don't get it. Now, here's the thing. Of course, if he were a bigger name presidential candidate, you could chop up his endorsement of Warren as, oh, he's doing it for political motivations. She's the safer option of the... she's the safer of the progressive options. Of the left-wing groups, of the left-wing candidates, she's the safest option to throw your support behind. But he's not. Nobody knows who he is. I'm literally one of few people who know who he is. So, legitimately, why would anybody care? So, maybe he legitimately does have reasons for endorsing Elizabeth Warren. Now, I don't know. I've never talked to Micheal Arth, but, best of luck for him, I guess. Speaking of Elizabeth Warren endorsements, Elizabeth Warren got possibly her biggest endorsement of this election cycle. Ayanna Pressley endorses Elizabeth Warren. Miss Pressley backed her home state senator, a longtime ally. We find ourselves in a fight for the soul of our nation, and I know Elizabeth can win it, she said. Representative Ayanna S. Pressley of Massachusetts, the only member of the group of progressive first-term congresswomen nicknamed the Squad, who is not yet backed the Democratic presidential candidate, has endorsed Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts, a longtime ally. Ms. Pressley announces her decision in an email to supporters Wednesday afternoon after releasing a corresponding video announcement. Elizabeth has made it her life's work to pursue justice for working families and put economic and political power in the hands of people, Ms. Pressley said in a statement. We find ourselves in a fight for the soul of our nation, and I know Elizabeth can win it. Now, as I mentioned briefly beforehand with Micheal Arth's endorsement, this endorsement is iffy in a sense. Why support Warren when you can support Bernie? And now here's the thing, you might say, oh, well, you can easily flip that for backwards. No, you can't. You cannot flip this backwards. If you are going to say, I'm a progressive and I'm going to make it so that we can fix the country, Bernie is your only option. Warren is the person who goes in with a compromise already in hand. You don't bring big change with that. Now here's the thing, the news has been kind of making this into a big scene, oh, Ayanna Pressley is the only member of the Squad to break with the Squad and is doing this big thing that shows that these people this shows that Bernie and Warren are the exact same if the squad is divided on their endorsements of them. No. Because, again, like this article says it itself, longtime political ally. That's one thing that is a decent aspect of this endorsement. She's an ally of Elizabeth Warren. It's similar to the Katie Porter endorsement. Katie Porter knows Elizabeth Warren. She was a friend of Elizabeth Warren. She was a student to Elizabeth Warren. She was Warren's AOC, for lack of a better term. And they make it seem like this was the only time in the history of Congress that Ayanna Pressley has not voted with that has not backed with the squad, when that's just utter nonsense. There's a reason why whenever people talk about the squad, they talk about the Latina one and the two Muslim women. Because AOC, Ilhan, and Rashida have been very, very outspoken and very, very progressive-minded in their votes, and have been very critical of the Democratic establishment. Name me one time when Ayanna Pressley has criticized the Democratic Party establishment. Not once. Nancy Pelosi went after AOC for trying to shake up the primary. I'm like, oh, you're making this party disloyalty. She went after Rashida for saying impeach the motherfucker. She went after Ilhan for questioning the Israel lobby. When has Nancy Pelosi ever went after Ayanna Pressley? Never once. Because Ayanna, despite her progressive voting record, I'll give her the progressive voting record, she has voted very progressive on a lot of things, isn't exactly in AOC or Ilhan or Rashida when push comes to shove. And the biggest example of it is the BDS vote. The BDS vote, the vote that was to condemn boycott, divestment, and sanctions, that vote condemned them. 17 members of Congress voted to not condemn BDS. Guess how many members of the squad voted to condemn BDS? Just one. And I think you know who it is. Ayanna. And I mean, you can even tell the divide between the squad and Ayanna very up to the point of their beginning of their congressional, like in the beginning of the 2018 primaries. Rashida Tlaib was running in a very crowded primary against an appointed establishment Democrat and the nephew of the congressman she was trying to replace. Ilhan ran in a very contested primary to replace progressive Keith Ellison, who was running for the Attorney General seat. AOC was running against one of the top Democrats who was considered an establishment goon, who was on his way to be the next Nancy Pelosi. And now we get back to Ayanna. What did Ayanna do? She primaried a progressive Democrat. Mike Capuano, he wasn't perfect, I'll give you that. He did make some faulty endorsements. But Mike Capuano voted progressive, was a member of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. In fact, Ayanna stated that her voting record would be identical to Capuano's. If your voting record would be the same, why the hell did you run? And in fact, during the 2016 election, she was trying to SJW her way through, oh, you can't mansplain to me what a progressive is. I know what a progressive is, and Bernie can't mansplain to me what a progressive is. Like, really? This is the person that was considered, we need to bring this woman to take down this progressive Democrat to be more progressive. Really? There's a reason I didn't endorse her until the election was over. By the time I even heard about the race, it was too late to endorse Capuano. He already lost. And I mean, Ayanna has a good voting record. I'll give her that. She does have a decent voting record. Her voting record is top-notch. But it's pretty clear we probably would have gotten the same exact thing if Capuano had been in the House. We would have still had those progressive votes. We would have still had a Liz Warren endorsement. The only thing we wouldn't have is someone who is in the squad simply by virtue. Like, I mean, if we wanted to be honest, Chuy Garcia should be on the squad before she is. There's a reason why on my website it's AOC, Ilhan, Rashida, Chuy, Ayanna. Because that's the order I endorsed them and gave them credit for their progressive voting records. And even now, yeah, I still 100% believe Chuy should be on the squad. Even before Ayanna, to be honest, sometimes. Because Chuy actually voted with the squad on the BDS vote. That's one thing that he has over Ayanna. But here's one more thing about the Ayanna Pressley endorsement that is kind of hinting at a BS meter or something. Why is Ayanna endorsing Warren over Bernie? Now again, longtime political ally, she probably does have leanings to Warren on ideology, which could be a eyebrow raising. But here's one more thing. What would happen if Elizabeth Warren were president? Well, Massachusetts would have a special election for the Senate to fill in her vacancy. And I wonder who might want to be in that seat. Well, it certainly can't be Joe Kennedy, because he's trying to get Ed Markey's seat. Ayanna, do you have any idea who might want this seat? Perplexes me. I do 100% believe Ayanna is eyeing for that Senate seat. Which, ironically, I think Capuano actually eyed this Senate seat before. So that'd be a weird history. But anyways, let's move on to even more disappointments. Sessions will run for Senate in Alabama. Former Attorney General Jeff Sessions will run for his old Senate seat in Alabama, mounting a stunning comeback attempt a year after he resigned amid a torrent of criticism and mockery from President Donald Trump. Sessions is expected to announce his campaign Thursday, according to multiple Republicans familiar with his decision. He has been considering a bid for weeks, and his announcement would come just ahead of the Friday deadline to file for the Senate race. Doug, it was nice knowing you while it lasted. Here's the thing. I'm making a big, stunning prediction now, and this is an obvious prediction. Doug Jones will no longer be senator in the next year. There's absolutely no way Doug Jones is going to win. Literally no way. I mean, there is one way, but I highly doubt it would be because there's a couple of reasons. Doug Jones, he got in his Senate seat because of a fluke. He got in his Senate seat because he ran against a pedophile. That's his only reason for winning in that Senate seat. Because Republicans got cold feet and said, we're not comfortable voting for a pedophile. And now they're like, oh, no, wait. We're going to vote for someone who's not a pedophile. We're going to vote for him, Doug Jones. He's not a pedophile, is he not? And yes, you heard me right. A lot of Republicans actually did vote for Doug Jones. Some of them even got cold feet and were like, we're going to write in Luther Strange, Kay Ivey, Jeff Sessions. We're going to write in a football coach. They wrote in pretty much anybody they could, just as long as they didn't have to vote for a pedophile. Like, seriously. They were so desperate to not vote for a pedophile, they'd vote for literally anybody else. There's no way Doug Jones is going to keep that Senate seat any other way, because here's the thing. He's running now against the person who previously held that Senate seat, who had won literally every district at one point, and remember that accused pedophile I talked about? Roy Moore? It turns out that in 2020 head-to-head polling, Moore is in the lead. being accused of being a pedophile in 2017, that was a killer. But being that same accused pedophile a couple of years later, now that's a winning strategy. So yeah, Doug Jones, goodbye. I hardly knew ye, and I didn't like ye. So anyways, now on to something that is big and shady. Steyer aide offered money for endorsements. A top aide to Democratic presidential candidate Tom Steyer in Iowa privately offered campaign contributions to local politicians in exchange for endorsing his White House bid. According to multiple people with direct knowledge of the conversations, the overtures from Pat Murphy, a former state house speaker who was serving as a top advisor on Steyer's Iowa campaign, aren't illegal, though payments for endorsements would violate campaign finance laws if not disclosed. There is no evidence that any Iowans accepted the offer or received contributions from Steyer's campaign as compensation for their backing. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? It says here, payments for endorsements would violate campaign finance laws if not disclosed. If they're not disclosed, they're illegal. But if they're public knowledge, they're legal. Now, it's obvious Tom Steyer is trying to buy his way into the White House. Or buy his way into relevancy. Because otherwise, who the hell cares at Tom Steyer? If Tom Steyer wanted to run for public office, he had a chance, and that was in the 2018 California Senate bid. People were actually legitimately concerned and interested that he might run. It's not important. Well, I mean, it is important. This is big. But here's the thing. Nobody's going to care because Tom Steyer is literally not in the term of relevancy. Nobody even really considers him to be... he's just there at this point. He's like Steve Bullock. Nobody seems to notice him. But he's a billionaire, so he gets to be on the stage. Whereas Steve Bullock and Wayne Messam don't get to be on the debate stage because they don't have $1 billion that they can just shovel into their own campaign. Speaking of campaigns, this is coming from the Green Party. Now, here's the thing. On November 4th, there was a deadline for the Green Party to get official recognition from the party. And so far, only 2 people have gotten that notoriety. Howie Hawkins and Dario Hunter. Now, there have been criticisms levied very heavily on Howie Hawkins for certain things that had happened. Well, it turns out, in an article that I will link in the description, there is a bit of shady things going on for Dario as well. You see, there was a proposition that was made to the Green Party presidential campaign team, like the people in charge of the presidential campaigns of the Greens, like making sure all the Greens can be notarized. It turns out they got a special deal with Dario. Dario offered them a little bit of a thing. Like, he proposed to them a rule that would give this November 4th deadline in exchange for pretty much, because he would pretty much be the only other candidate to make that deadline. So it kind of looks like he threw the other candidates out of the bus. Especially because a lot of the Greens have noticed this, but they noticed that Dario was extremely critical of the Howie Hawkins campaign doing all of this shady stuff, and like, we need to talk about this, Howie. You can't just sweep these candidates under the bus. But then, now, people have noticed that Dario has kind of been hush-hush on this. Now, I mean, I guess we have a reason now. I guess we have a reason why he's now hush-hush about this. Because he was the one who made the rules. Well, it helped make the rules. So it looks like there's going to be some interesting stuff with the Greens. Especially considering these two are really the only candidates that could be, well, like, these are the only two candidates that the Green Party legitimately thinks are real. Like, these are the ones that they consider real candidates. Sedinem, Dennis, just, nope. It's just, nah, they just can't. And even on another aspect, it looks like there's a bit of a, now that it's finally finalized to these two, they're kind of throwing a bit of shade at each other, because Hawkins kind of revealed, like, they recently rediscovered that when he talked to the Socialist Party, he mentioned how he would be the Socialist Party nominee in November, even if he didn't get the Green Party nomination. So the Greens were a little bit of a mad, because they're like, wait a minute, so Howie would spoil the election for us? And I sit there and like, the Green Parties are concerned about spoilers, am I right, guys? This is hilarious. I mean, of course, either everybody's a spoiler or nobody's a spoiler, but I'm just saying that this political party that everybody was throwing the spoiler accusation at them, now they're accusing Howie of being a spoiler. It's kind of like, it's kind of ironic, guys. I mean, come on, you can appreciate the irony. But I mean, yeah, it is weird that, and the thing is, like, Howie's campaign chair seems to be, like, she made it into a joking manner. Like, wait a minute, so you're going to run for the Socialist Party nomination even if you don't get the Green Party nomination? She's like, well, we better get the Green Party nomination then. It's like, yeah, it doesn't really seem like you're all in on that green, am I right, guys? I mean, could you imagine if Tulsi Gabbard won the Socialist Party nomination and then said that she'd run as a socialist even if she didn't get the Democratic Party nomination? Like, there could be shenanigans a brew. But I mean, it doesn't really matter. Howie seems to be the front runner, and it appears that Dario, for better or for worse, has at least somewhat placed himself to be the anti-Hawkins candidate. Well, let's just see how the Green Party nomination goes. Anyway, speaking of nominations, someone has decided to enter the nomination process. Micheal Bloomberg has filed to run in a couple of Democratic state primaries and is making his way on announcing a formal 2020 Democratic bid for the president nomination. Yeah, I'm gonna go with no. Just no. Micheal, you are literally the only person who wants you to be president. In fact, guys, you want me to tell you a little secret? There was actually a time where people wanted Micheal Bloomberg to run for president. Believe it or not, this was a time period that actually existed. That time period was 2007 to 2011. This was the time period people actually wanted Micheal Bloomberg to run for president. Sure, they were a little bit more well off, but they did, in fact, want Micheal Bloomberg to run for president. Now, literally nobody, except for Micheal Bloomberg, wants Micheal Bloomberg to run for president. This is exactly the same as Joe Biden. There was a time period when people wanted Joe Biden for president, and that was 2016, when people were still looking at you as Obama-Biden memes. Now, nobody cares. Nobody wants a $53 billion person running for president under the party that's supposedly supposed to be for working people. Literally nobody wants that. But Micheal Bloomberg has his head so far up his ass, he thinks that this is the only possibility of beating Trump. In fact, Micheal Bloomberg, he thought that he was originally all in for Biden. But now that Biden is failing, for some reason he's looking at Biden and is like, the only reason that Biden is failing is because of Biden. It couldn't be that nobody wants a candidate like Biden at all. Like he thinks that if he were Joe Biden, he'd be soaring a million years ahead. Like, Bernie would be forced to drop out and bend the knee to King Bloomberg. But here's the thing. Again, nobody cares. Nobody wants Michael Bloomberg to run for president. But since he's a billionaire, he can spend $53 billion to make himself president somehow. He has more money than Donald Trump. Like this is what people think that would win. There's a reason why there were Democratic strategists that were trying to get Oprah and Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates to run for president, because they're like, oh, we need to get a billionaire to run for president. That's the winning strategy. It's not. The winning strategy, like, they looked at Trump and were like, ran as a populist, ran against the special interests, billionaire, reality show star, racist? I got it. We don't need the populism. We don't need the anti-establishment. We need the racism. We need the reality star. We need the billionaire. Call in Bill Gates. Like, wow. That's what they thought they needed. If you looked at the Trump presidential candidacy and you thought we need billionaire to run, then you literally have 0 brain cells, and you should literally be ashamed of yourself and your family and your father, and you should be ashamed of existing. If you thought that was the winning strategy that got Donald Trump at the White House. But anyways, on to a presidential candidate that actually seems somewhat interesting. The smaller candidate of the day was out of the blue. You see, in the 2008, there was a political party called the Socialist Party. I mean, it still exists to this day, but I mean, I mentioned before that it still exists to this day, but I mean, their candidate in 2008 was a candidate by the name of Brian Moore. Brian Moore also ran for the Florida gubernatorial race as a Democrat in 2010 and has been on and off with many political offices, running as an independent, Democrat, or socialist. Now, Brian Moore has filed for the New Hampshire primary. I don't know what his platform is going to be, but if it's anything like his 2008 platform, I could be down. So anyways, now let us get into the topic of this video, 2020 endorsements. And before you say, will you go over them all? I don't know, maybe. We're just going to have to see how the evening plays out. So, I'm going to go over the non-incumbent. I'm going to specify non-incumbent, because if we did the incumbents, we'd be here a little longer. So I'm just going to do the specific non-incumbents, because the non-incumbents are going to need a little more notoriety and shout-out time than the incumbents. Okay, so first I'm going to start off with the Senate, then I'm going to go to the House, then gubernatorial, then, others. Now, I'm going to give one more caveat. I'm not going to do the ones in North Carolina unless they are new and I have not covered them previously. Because I did the whole North Carolina Progressive Squad thing a little bit ago, so I already covered a couple of them, but these are going to be new people that we haven't seen. Okay, so first we're going to start off with the Texas Senate race. We have Sima Hernandez. Sima Hernandez is a baseball coach, she's a small business owner, and she ran a progressive campaign against Beto O'Rourke in 2018. I missed her election last time around, but this time around, as soon as she announced, I'm like, I'm not going to miss it this time around. She's got the progressive chops of like single payer, legalizing marijuana, environmental protection, tuition-free college. During the last election, her only endorsement was Lee Camp, and in this election, so far her only endorsement, I think, is Nina Turner. And that's a good thing, I guess. Well, I mean, not I guess, it is. In Kentucky, going up against Mitch McConnell, we have Steve Cox. By the way, him and Seema are both Democrats. Now, he is running a progressive campaign in Kentucky. He's also running against Amy McGrath, who is trying to be a more moderate Democrat. In fact, one of the things she's trying to do is try to be a pro-Trump Democrat. And I'm like, what? That doesn't make any... What? I mean, it does make sense, but... I mean, that's no. Steve Cox is trying to be more substance-based, and, like, his platform is, like, the same progressive platform. Medicare for All, Green New Deal, campaign finance reform, restoring net neutrality, because the thing Amy McGrath is trying to do is she's trying to say, oh, the reason why Trump is not doing the good things that he promised the people of Kentucky is because Mitch McConnell is getting in his way. Whereas Steve Cox is pointing out the simple truth that the reason why is because Donald Trump lied to the people of Kentucky. Like, and it's stupid because it's like Mitch McConnell votes with Trump, like, almost, if not, if, like, 100% of the time. It's probably like 98 or something. And Steve Cox is definitely running in a place that doesn't welcome his ideas that much. But best of luck to Steve Cox. And in the Colorado Senate seat, we have Stephanie Rose Spalding. Now, originally, I was actually a bit concerned. I didn't know who I was going to pick. Was it going to be Dustin Lietsell? Was it going to be Lorena Garcia? Was it going to be one of the other people? Eventually, it boiled down to Stephanie Rose Spalding because Stephanie Rose Spalding had previously run as a Justice Democrat in the 2018 midterms under, like, for the 5th District of Colorado. And she's got that Justice Democrat platform, you know, Medicare for All, $15 minimum wage, affordable housing, raising taxes on the rich, stricter gun control. And, you know, she's a really solid candidate. And, you know, best of luck on her campaign, especially considering the Democratic Party has already bequeathed their crown to John Hickenlooper. In the Georgia Senate seat, the not special election Senate seat, the one that was already up for re-election this year, is I endorse Akhenaten Amun. He's a teacher and a businessman who attempted to run for lieutenant governor in 2018, but he dropped out. Now, he's running a very progressive platform too. Medicare for All, combating climate change, tuition-free college, affordable housing, statehood for U.S. territories, and combating income inequality. Now, his election might be a little tougher because not only does he have a corporate challenger in, I guess, John Ossoff, because he's like the one that was kind of guaranteed the nomination. I mean, he's already got the support of, like, John Lewis, like, very prominent figures. But there's also, like, other people who are running, like Theresa Tomlinson. And then there's also one person who's going for the left field is Ted Terry, who is a candidate for who was actually like a mayor. He was a mayor. He is a mayor of Clarkston, but he's running for that left field too. Now the thing is, I endorsed Akhenaten before Ted Terry entered the race, and I'm not just going to dump him for Ted. That would be rude, and that would be inconsistent. Even though he is truly, like, Ted is for a lot of the good issues, I would 100% be supportive if one of these guys decided they were going to go to the other Senate seat. But, I mean, beggars can't be choosers. So I'm going to stick with a count of 10 for the primary. Especially considering, since I don't live in Georgia, my vote's not really important. Okay, so for the Montana Senate seat, I endorse Mayor Wilmot Collins. Wilmot Collins is a Liberian refugee, a Navy veteran, and the mayor of Helena, who beats a 16-year Republican incumbent in Trump country. But here's the thing. He didn't do it by being moderate. No. He did it with a progressive grassroots campaign. Like, literally. Like, there are people who voted for both Trump and Wilmot. Now, when Trevor Noah's Daily Show went to his, Helena, and was like, wait, hold on, how did this happen? And Wilmot said it best.
I won by getting the votes out.
Like, in that segment, the interviewer talks to Trump supporters who say they love Wilmot. They love Wilmot. He took a progressive campaign in Trump country and did it well. Because here's the thing. Progressivism actually does well in Trump country. Montana primary, Bernie all the way. Wilmot can take that to national stage. And I mean, again, he's running on this platform. Universal health care, combating climate change, tackling inequality. This guy can do this if we give him the stage, if we give him the ability to do it, he can do it. And in the 2018 midterms, Wilmot supported the Our Revolution-backed candidate in the Montana at-large primary. So, I mean, we can see that this guy is legit. At least, he's looking legit. So, let's go with Wilmot. In the main Senate seat, which is a highly contested seat, I'm endorsing Betsy Sweet. She's an activist, former director of the Maine's Women Lobby, and she ran for governor in 2018. Now, I was originally going to wait for Zach Ringelstein to try and make a comeback because this Senate seat, it's so hot because people have already raised $4 million to go to whoever the Democratic nominee is. I think $4 million. At least $4 million have been raised to go to whoever the Democratic nominee will be because, Susan Collins isn't really that popular at the moment. So, why don't we make it a progressive that gets that money? But Zach Ringelstein said that he's supporting Betsy Sweet. So I'm like, yeah, sure. If he supports her, then by all means, yes, go Betsy Sweet. She's got that same progressive platform, Med for All, Green New Deal, getting money out of politics. She's really doing well. The next candidate is in the Wyoming Senate race, Ayanna Ludwig. She's a progressive / socialist podcaster running in Wyoming. Wyoming. You mean Wyoming? Literally Wyoming, the 49th most popular state, Wyoming. I mean, she has to be good enough for me to put her on my radar. You don't run on Medicare for All in Wyoming. And I think Wyoming is the Senate seat that might have Liz Cheney run in it, right? If I remember correctly, yeah. Let me look it up. Let me see. Senate seat in Wyoming. Republican declared possible. Yeah, Liz Cheney could possibly run for the seat. So, wait, hold on. person in California is trying to run for the seat? You gotta be kidding me. I'm looking this up. There's someone who's living in California who's trying to run for the seat. Ayanna at least lives in Wyoming. So let's get Ayanna into the Senate seat. The next seat is the Mississippi Senate race with Jensen Bohren. He's a veteran who's running as a Bernie-crat. He ran for the other Senate seat, I believe, in 2018 against Mike Espy. He also may be running against Mike Espy in this Senate's race because Mike Espy filed to run in this Senate seat, but he's currently not actively campaigning. Jensen is, but not Espy. Espy's a Blue Dog Democrat, so fuck Espy. So I'm going with Jensen Bohren. He's like a DSA candidate. And again, this is Mississippi. Mississippi. He's running as a Democratic Socialist in Mississippi. The only way you can get it worse is running as a communist in Alabama. Or running as a white nationalist in California. Oh wait, people do that. Never mind. Okay. Next is West Virginia. You all already know who this is, but I'll just say it for the sake of saying it. Paula Jean Swearengin. I was originally going to at least wait for Richard Ojeda to possibly make an announcement in this seat, but Ojeda doesn't look like he's interested in this Senate seat. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Paula Jean Swearengin. Here's hoping Ojeda might go back to West Virginia District 3. But so far, it looks like Paula is going to be we're going to try and make her the senator. We tried to get her to defeat Joe Manchin, but that didn't work. Maybe we can actually have the Democratic Party go with her as well. But because if she's the nominee, the Democratic Party is going to at least half give her the possibility of, being like, oh, they're going to at least give her like the unity talk, like, we're going to make sure all Democrats win so we can flip the Senate. So, yeah. Whenever there's someone who's primarying a Democrat, that's bad. But if they're running an open seat, that's fine. Like, since it's going to be a Senate seat that is not with the Democrats, they're completely fine with her. They're going to be completely fine with her this time around. When last time around, nobody would be fine with her. I don't even think Ojeda didn't support her. But yeah, she's obviously got the same platform, Medicare for all. I have a typo on the website. Fix that after that words. So yeah, that's Paula Jean Swearengin. She was in a documentary. I didn't see that documentary, but I will see it at one point. Okay, next is a very prominent primary primary seat, Iowa. Kimberly Graham. She's an attorney running to end the reign of corporate Senator Joni Ernst. She's got the same progressive platform as, the rest of these guys. Medicare for all, Green New Deal, ending our interventionist wars. She's at least open more on interventionist wars, ending them. Because some of these guys, they run as more domestic candidates as opposed to, foreign policy candidates. But some do, some don't. Okay, so next in Louisiana, we have Huey Long. Nah, I'm just kidding. But this guy's running to be the next Huey Long. Antoine Pierce. He's a community activist, radio host, founder of the Better Boys Initiative, and a 2-time Baton Rouge candidate. He's running on the same, platform. Medicare for all, raising minimum wage, combating climate change, legalizing weed, criminal justice reform. And Louisiana, despite the fact that it is a very Republican area, remember, it has a history of prominent Democrats like Huey Long, and then it took one generation to make him a segregationist. Huey Long wasn't a segregationist. He wasn't exactly like pro-civil rights, but he wasn't racist. But yeah, let's go, Antoine. Let's make you the next Huey Long. In the South Carolina Senate seat, the one that is currently held by Lindsey Graham, we have Justin Wooten. He's a progressive activist who's running against Jamie Harrison and Gloria Bromell Tinubu for the Democratic nomination. Now, Gloria, she's kind of a progressive, but I was trying to see if in the past she supported Medicare for All, but I don't see it, because in the 2016 election she endorsed Bernie, and currently she's endorsing Marianne Williamson, which is weird. But, and his other opponent, Jamie Harrison, is the one the Democrats are putting their foot on the, scale on, because they really want Lindsey Graham gone, and, Jamie is a guy who ran for DNC chair one time, so, he's shown loyalty, I'll give him that. He endorsed Tom Prez when he dropped out, which is stupid. If he at least endorsed Keith Ellison, I'd give Jamie Harrison at least the time of day. But nah. So, anyways, the next candidate is in Arkansas, and it's interesting because this one is an independent. Ooh, spooky. His name is Daniel Whitfield. He's a progressive independent, obviously, running to replace Tom Cotton, a senator who literally just suggested that we invade Mexico to kill the cartel leaders. Yeah, that is stupid, but Whitfield, he's not stupid. He's running on Medicare for All, combating climate change, relieving student debt, ending the wars. Basically, yeah, he's a progressive through and through. Now, fun fact, I at one point thought that he was a person in a Bernie ad. Remember the America ad that Bernie Sanders had? I thought he was that that father and daughter duo, but no. But they look the same. They look similar. Whatevs. In the Illinois Senate seat, I'm endorsing Marilyn Lawlor. I was originally endorsing Ann Stava Murray, but she dropped out. Now, I'm endorsing anti-war activist Marilyn Lawlor. She is running against Dick Durbin. Screw Dick Durbin, I don't know much about him, but his name always pops up. She's running on the Medicare for All, Green New Deal, ending wars, getting money out of politics, restoring Glass-Steagall as a specific. So yeah, I think she's pretty progressive and pretty solid. In the 2020 New Jersey Senate seat, I'm endorsing Lisa McCormick. Yeah, and before you ask, yes, this is the one that Cory Booker currently has. Now, she's she ran for the Senate seat, she ran for the other Senate seat in 2018, and she's running on a lot of progressive platforms, like combating climate change, making the minimum wage $15, getting money out of politics, federal jobs guarantee, and a UBI. So she's got a lot of progressive platforms, obviously. So yeah, let's hope that Cory Booker doesn't run so she can win the seat. And the last Senate seat that I'm currently endorsing someone in is the Nebraska Senate seat, and I'm endorsing Angie Phillips. Now, I did at one point consider one of the other guys, Chris Jacanek, but the thing is, his website doesn't really give me a platform. It just says enough, but it doesn't really give me a platform, and his Facebook page identified himself as a moderate, and I'm like, whoa, no thank you. But Angie Phillips, she's a working class mom, a community organizer, a human rights advocate. She's running against the Trump maverick, quote unquote, Ben Sasse. Ben Sasse, I don't know. She's running on the obvious progressive stuff like Medicare for All, Green New Deal, campaign finance reform, abolishing ICE, to be specific, at one point, and legalizing weed. So, yeah, she's got a lot of progressive chops too. So, those are all the Senate seats that I am currently endorsing someone in. And I'm open and willing to endorse someone in all 33 Senate seats that are currently up for re-election or election next time around. I'm 100% on board with that. I just gotta find the right candidate. Like, I mean, hell, I don't even have someone in my own Senate seat that I'm endorsing. That should show you that we should probably get to the point where we start having better candidates. So, this has been going on for a bit, so I think I'm just going to stop it at the Senate endorsements. Tune in another time when I talk about the House endorsements when they probably get like 30 more. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that bell to be notified when the future video when it comes out. And if you're interested in more content from me, you can go to my website or follow me on Facebook, Twitter, or Quora, or check out my articles on the Independent Political Report.